EXP agents paving the way.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Wow. What a fabulous lunch and what a fabulous bunch. As an estate agency trainer for more years than I care to remember, it is fantastic to see so many faces here today that I have trained possibly even years ago in your previous incarnation when you were making loads of money for other people. And now it's great to see you here today having made a load of money and in the process of making a load of money for yourself and being in control of your own destiny as well. So that gives me such a great buzz when I see fantastic agents that I've trained doing what I've suggested, hopefully doing some of what I've suggested in the past and actually making work for them. So good on you. Well done. That's fantastic. So what we're going to do this afternoon, we're just going to kick off with 2 panel sessions where we're going to take some very ordinary people. This morning was extraordinary people. These are ordinary people. I don't want to insult you guys who are going to be on the panel. I've started this all wrong. But what I'm saying is to show you how ordinary people doing something extraordinary can make extraordinary results. And so we want to make it relevant and relatable to you. So we've asked 4 fantastic people who are actually quite ordinary people to come up on stage and just talk. We're going to start off kicking off, getting off to a fast start. Now this is going to be for anyone either who's thinking of joining EXP or who has recently joined EXP, because the words I've heard from the people you're going to meet in a moment when we're just doing a bit of research were burnout, emotional wreck, nervous, what have I done, no money, no plan, and scared. And that's often how people feel when they're just about to speak in front of several hundred people. So I'd like to invite Georgina Hambley, Alex Pelosi Buchanan, Michael Brownstead, and Katie Poore on stage, please. Grab a seat. Georgina, Alex, Michael, and Katie. This is very comfortable. We got the best chairs. Yeah, we should have a log fire going here. Thanks for coming up, guys. And I know it's a big thing. It's almost as big a thing as actually joining EXP in the first place. But that first starting point, when you kick it off, my goodness, that's probably the biggest thing you've ever done. I mean, is that how you felt at the time? What are your thoughts? How did you kick it off?
I think very much. Is this on? Yeah, there we go. Hey, thank you very much, first of all, for that pep talk, Richard. That was great. So,
ordinary.
In terms of getting started, it was very much, like you said, the nerves, kind of everything very much kind of kicked in. I was sat at this desk, suddenly with an empty phone, no clients, nothing. And I did have that, oh fuck moment, thinking, what am I going to do? Because literally, but then that's where you have to think to yourself, I'm just going to push forward because there was no way going back. It's like you had to go forward. So just got out there and started grafting, which I think pretty much is probably the same for most of us.
Yeah.
I mean, from my point of view, we're just talking to Georgina outside, and we're quite impulsive people. So I had an instance at work where I went, this don't work for me anymore. Boom, done. And it was more doing than actually thinking. And basically from there it was, right, let's get this done. Had a chat with Adam, and before I knew it, my wife was 6 months pregnant, and I just decided I was starting my own business.
Yeah, absolutely. There's often a push from where you are or a pull from where you're going to, and people here will have either the pull to EXP or a push from where they were. I know, Georgina, you actually made a decision from your hospital bed, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was quite poorly in 2023, and I was undergoing treatment at the time. And I was still working throughout my illness. I was listing 25 properties a month for my previous agent. And I had a phone call 11 o'clock at night saying, do you know that your company is selling out to Connells? 10 minutes later, I wrote an email, handed my notice in, and by 12 o'clock, signed up for EXP.
Wow. Okay, so there's already quite a push there, but the nervous bit was then, is the pull strong enough? Because I know you quite resented your previous situation with they were making all this money and everything, then they're going to sell to somebody else. So that was a bit scary. But then, and just on Katie's story, what was your story in terms of what was the push for you?
Mine's not very inspiring.
So Simon, the Thomas Morris was owned by partners, and it was very much a family-led business, and then it got bought out by LSL. And when Simon left, the new managing director, well, we didn't quite see eye to eye.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
I jumped.
yeah, fair enough. Scary move. So once you see you've made the big step, and you're feeling perhaps a bit lonely, a bit on your own. What have I done? What was the next step from there? What was the first sort of activity you did to get the ball rolling? Alex, what?
Probably for me was just I just went all in with everything. I just thought I'm going to do everything and anything. And Sam Cerrone touched on this about being visible, and I thought I'm going to be the most visible agent in my town. So I went straight social media. No agents were doing social media really well. They were doing it, but not doing it well. So just really went in heavy on video. I don't know whether I can say this. Adam will probably tell me off, but I put boards up all around my town on friends and families' homes. I just said, would you do me a favour and put a board in your front garden? So all of a sudden, overnight, I had like 20 boards up here around Abergavenny, and people were ringing me up saying, you got a house on Lower Monk Street for sale? I went, well, technically not. But
Alex Pelosi Buchanan, the high-integrity agent.
But what they did say was, hello, Abergavenny. So I did correct them and said, well, it's not technically for sale, it's just a marketing board. So I don't know if you technically check with your local planning authority before you do something like that.
Yeah.
I put them on every roundabout in Abergavenny.
Okay,
So you can come in or out without seeing my
Fantastic.
face. But it got the phone ringing. So I just thought, better to ask for forgiveness. And,
absolutely. And getting your face out. The fact you're putting your face on things and becoming known as a personal individual agent. We know that people employ the individual over the brand. The brand often gets you through the door, but it's the individual. And we're in the process of changing that around, aren't we? So the brand is the individual. And I know, Georgina, you spoke to everyone you knew in the business from the past.
I literally bombarded everyone. So the next day I woke up and thought, oh shit, what have I done?
It's the 15th time that phrase has appeared today, hasn't it?
So I got a pen and paper and I wrote the names down of everybody that I've met over 15 years. So we're talking surveyors, probate solicitors, divorce solicitors, mortgage advisors. And I just reached out to them and said, remember that time I was referring business to you?
You owe me one.
Pay the favour.
Okay, very good. So actually pulling in a few favours from people. But just that call was also maintaining the relationship, telling them what you were now doing. And was there a feeling, would you say, maybe Katie, I know, was there a feeling that people actually wanted to help you because they saw that you were on your own and, you know, nice lady, want to help her, and there's actually a helping hand there?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. So I think when you're on your own, I think, like, generally, people want to help new businesses, and I think actually I rang Kirsty Hodgson multiple times, and she said to me, honestly, people will just want to help you, and they generally do, don't they? They just, you know, new businesses and new starters, they just, I don't know, I think it's the person, and the boards were massive in my area, because I mean, I know in some areas it's quite saturated, EXP, but in our area, I think, like, I'm probably, other than Gavin, who's in Cambridge, there's no one in St Ives. So it was kind of quite new and exciting. And
So here's a question. Does it matter if there are other EXP agents in town? Is that not like just having other regular competitors in town, but you're actually friendly competitors?
Well, I think the whole point of EXP is it's the person. It's not... EXP is kind of the back... It's more the person, isn't it? So I think, you know, even with... I think it's helpful to have other EXP agents. I mean, I've often shared buyers, sellers. You know, and actually one's resulted in a sale for another EXP colleague. So I think it's actually a good thing.
Yeah. Michael, how have you found that?
I mean, I've only got one agent that's quite near me. However, I've just sat at the back there and I got a memo of sale from him because I've currently got one of his buyers purchasing one of my properties. So it has been quite good. I trust him more than I would do other agents, particularly the other ones, particularly that have got the offers on the property, which I've got for sale, or the vendors have got for sale. So yeah, I do find it helpful. I do find it better to work with the EXP agents than any other local agents, because I do trust Chris, who's local to me, a lot more.
Okay, because they've been in the same boat as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the integrity, because it's your own business, you've got more drive to make that happen. You know for a fact it's your your lunch on the table next month with that one sale compared to some negotiator in an office who's getting a wage no matter if it goes through or not.
Yeah. So when you're starting out, obviously everything is relatively low. There's low volume, low figures, low sales happening. Did it concern you at the outset that you weren't perhaps getting the number of instructions you was used to having on a plate when you had a brand? It was all down to you. What were your thoughts on that, Alex? Sorry, I'll come back to you.
When I started, very much I got a lot of instructions. Because I was just sending out letters. So in the first couple of months, I was doing probably not too dissimilar because I had an empty diary. So I just thought I need to fill it with activities that are going to create that work. So whereas now, obviously, fast forward all this time, it's now trying to balance out doing appraisals. So I took on a lot of instructions to start with because I thought I need leverage in the market. I can't just have Hello Abergavenny boards up around everywhere. I need some genuine boards up everywhere. And I think that, but the thing for me, it was very much, I was speaking with Katie about this when we did a talk in the virtual world, that I didn't get my first sale until December. So I started in September. So I had 3 months where I didn't have a sale. I was thinking, oh God, this is not going as I thought it was. But then come into the January, that's where it all changed. And between January and May, I built up a 120 grand pipeline. So it did come. But again, there were a few moments in there I thought, again, a bit like Georgina, shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
Didn't roll that thing.
And you found yourself presumably working harder than you ever did when working for an employer?
Do you know what? It's different. I think because when you do it for yourself, and it's because what you love, it's not work.
Yeah.
But then you are suddenly more responsible for everything, because I went from having a whole team of negotiators and admin assistants to suddenly being like, oh, I've got to actually organise the photographers myself. And oh, I've actually got to turn up to this viewing that I've got. So it's that kind of balance. But doing it for yourself, you can't beat it, really.
Yeah, so there's a question, Georgina. How do you manage? Because you've got an amazing pipeline. Georgina has a pipeline of, it's in 19 months, she's done 111 completions and £266,000 worth of fees. Come on. But you're not handling all of that personally on your own, are you?
No. So actually, it's quite funny. So one of my first properties that I listed, the sale fell through within 4 months of me listing it. And it turns out that it had subsidence. And my only option was to look at auction method of sale. So I emailed Adam Day and I was like, I think I've got a potential auction. What do I do with this? And he said, speak to I Am Sold. And my exact email to Adam was, you must be joking. I absolutely hate them. I don't want to work with them, along those lines. And he replied saying, give them a chance. The franchise team, they're amazing. And that's when I met the amazing Gemma and Elle, who are here today. And my business has literally transformed through auction. So within the last 12 months, I've completed on 40 auction sales. And through I Am Property alone, I've had 140,000 in fees.
£140,000 in auction fees alone. That's fantastic. That's 3 or 4 deals a month, isn't it?
I think my best
roughly,
month, I had 9 completions in a month, which was £27,000 I had in fees. And off the back of that, which is my biggest achievement from joining the XP, was I've got an autistic daughter. She's 9, and she's always struggled in school. And off the back of the XP, I've now been able to put her into private school. And that's my biggest achievement.
Isn't that what it's about? We talk about the freedom that we get for working for ourselves. We know it's also a headache, a responsibility. You're working for the worst boss in the world, which is yourself, because he never gives you a day's break or a day off. But at least you can earn the money to make a real difference, just as being able to put your child through the right school. That's extraordinary. I'm really so
one more
pleased.
thing.
Yeah.
I've actually recruited Gemma and her husband, and they've seen the massive benefit, and they're now agents themselves.
There we go as well. Well, that's great. That's great. So coming back to the question, are you working on your own? Are you managing all those deals yourself, or do you actually virtually employ people?
Yes, Yeah, so I've got an employed member of staff, and within 12 months I launched teams. So we got a team of 5 as well.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So a team of 5. So don't think that you're on your own forever. As your business grows, the business needs to grow, and you're going to bring on people and also bring on other people through EXP as well, which will sort your retirement out as well. Well, that's all, what's not to like about that. Fantastic, okay. And developments, Micah, anything, what has changed since you first started? Has it gone in a different direction to what you might have expected?
I won't say a different development or a different direction. I think there's been a lot of new content that I've put on social media, but I would say the majority of my valuations, maybe 80-90%, come through social media. I wake up on a morning, can I have a valuation on WhatsApp or on Facebook Messenger? Totally didn't expect that at all. I expected it to be more phone calls, even developments of, I never ever have booked a viewing over WhatsApp or Messenger.
Right, yeah.
There ain't a day goes by that I don't book one in now, because people want to speak to people over Messenger or over WhatsApp. I was concerned at the start that was unprofessional. Now I understand it's actually how people want to communicate with an estate agent.
Yeah, very interesting. Because Alex, I was going to say, you had a more, you might argue, traditional approach in door knocking and dropping and mailers and roundabouts and something, and you've got more the social media route in a way. What was your thought on that?
No, I mean, video and social media was absolutely
Yeah.
imperative in what I did, because, like I said, no other agent in my town was doing it, especially videos. So I just came right out of the park and was just doing very highly polished videos. And it didn't matter whether it was a 1-bedroom flat or it was a big 16-bedroom house I'd get asked out to. I provided the same level of marketing for everybody. And I think coming back to video, I think if there are people in the room that are thinking about, and I know not everybody does video, it's not, obviously, you've got to find what works for you, but I think that for those who are trying to find that one thing in their market, if there are agents still in towns, and it's surprising how many agents still don't do video in towns, that is your golden ticket to success in your town. And I think that people say, oh, it's too late to do video because agents are already doing it, and say, oh, people have already joined EXP in my town. It's too late. It's never too late, because nobody can replicate you. You are you. And if you're putting your honest self out there for people to see, that's what people are going to be drawn to. And I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I get plenty more people like yourself just messaging me through social media and WhatsApp saying, I love what you do. Can you come see my house? And actually, one of the biggest houses I sold was a £1.7 million house. And that was all off the back of the people seeing my videos. They invited me out, nobody else. And that was a £23,000 fee, which was just like, and again, going back to that change between employed and self-employed, to see £23,000 land in my bank after EXP had taken their split was just
That's amazing. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
incredible.
and that was all because of video.
And just talking about videos, if you were coming into the business new, where would the emphasis on video be? Is it just videoing properties? Is it making crazy videos of agents jumping in swimming pools? Or is it... or is it you giving
haven't seen my
video
Club
advice?
Tropicana video, have you? Don't put it on the screen. But to be fair, I did do, like I said, I actually tried to mix it up. I was doing very polished, but of late I've tried to do some slightly funnier ones. And I think, like I say, if you're putting yourself out there for people to see, people quite like seeing your vulnerable side. And the amount of people had messaged me saying, that Club Tropicana video you did, like, you know, number one, how did you get your client to convince to do that? I said, she was cheering me on in the background. She thought it was brilliant. Yeah. But I think that it's just your opportunity to put yourself out there and actually sometimes showing your vulnerable side. It's really powerful, because you don't get that in a corporate. You just get that person in the pinstripe suit who's just, it's just cold. There's no emotion to it. So, I
think as well, Richard, from my point of view, there's a lot of polished videos out there. I, as of today, not of Thursday this week, I've never had a professional photographer come with me or videographer. I've done everything myself. Now, I am moving that way, but for anybody who's just starting out, don't feel it has to be polished, don't feel it has to be perfect. Buy yourself a gimbal from Amazon for 50 quid. Go out there, just do a walkthrough on a property, because even if you do a walkthrough and then just do a talk over, or even stick it on a gimbal outside and talk to the camera yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect. Anything is better than what a standard estate.
Is that what we're seeing across the whole EXP thing? Actually, it's the imperfection of the human. It's the real, authentic, transparent you dealing with another human being, and they like that. But no brand getting in the way.
Me and Georgina are very quiet at the moment because we don't do video.
Well, that was my next question.
This is what I wanted to point out, to be fair, because we discussed this before, that, you know, Katie, you don't do video, but what you've done amazingly is just how you've worked your community. I think that's what, there's not a set piece for this. You know, it's not a cookie cutter approach. You know, because you've done amazing things with the community.
Yeah, you can do, I think that's the beauty of it. You know, I often get people, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is, and actually, you just have to do what works for you. You know, if that's video, do video. If it's social media, do social media. If it's something else, then do that.
Life is too short. You're your own boss. Do what you make, what you're happy with. Yeah.
Well, getting used to being your own boss is difficult because I remember being up in the early days, sort of like midnight, and I'm like, what? No one's checking me. What am I doing?
Well, so many people make that transition from being a good estate agent to a rubbish manager. I was a classic case in point. But we're all making the transition now from being good estate agents, and we've got to be good business people as well. But we don't necessarily have to manage people. But the time will come, as Georgina's finding, you now are starting. So are you finding with that progression, is your focus moving perhaps away from direct client contact onto managing the team?
I feel responsible for my team members. So although they're self-employed, you know, I want them to do well.
Yeah.
So for me, at the minute, my priority is getting them the leads as well. Yeah. So again, it's back to square one, picking up the phone, reaching out to all my network. And yeah, we're doing really well with it. But yeah, I do feel a bit more pressure's on.
Yeah. Okay, no, for sure. So in terms of pressure, to what extent do you put pressure on yourself? Do you have goals and targets, or do you just enjoy life and crack on? How was it, Katie?
My only target was, well, I plan to fail. So that's, I know, honestly, I am literally, and it wasn't if, it was, this is what I'm going to do when I fail.
Okay.
So, I mean, I didn't have any plan. I just kind of decided
That's
to
an
open up
unusual
in it.
approach, isn't it? Because an Olympian would
I know,
tell you,
it's really
you know, you plan to
inspiring.
succeed, and so it's really interesting to hear the reality and the scariness of it. You know, we could fail because there's no one there to support us, although actually there's all the whole room in support. But you are on your own, and you could fail, but the value of every listing, every sale is so much bigger than it was before. So have you found?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, when I first started, my wife, we sat down and had a really frank conversation. She was 6 months pregnant, as I said before. And I said, oh, how many do you think I'll sell in my first month? None. How many do you think I'll sell in my second month? None. How many do you think I'll sell in my third month? One. Oh, thanks for the confidence. Go get yourself a parcel round. Make sure that money's coming in to succeed, you know, with the family. And it never went on like that. And it was actually the desire to actually do it myself and by myself and in my own way that actually drove me on. But I've never had a target. I've always had a limit.
Yeah, okay.
I've always said I'll have a limit of 15 properties available at any one point. I won't go beyond that because I can't manage that. Sales progression separate, but never target myself to put so many on a week or a month.
Yeah, interesting.
I think setting goals is important, and I don't mind admitting this in terms of, obviously, you know, when you start the business, you've got all the energy, and I was working every day, 7 days a week, from 7 till 7, and I literally had all the energy in the world. But then probably just before we went to Miami at the end of last year, I hit a wall hard. It was like that big burnout, and it came literally just came on from nowhere. So I think there is that element of that, you know, that you've got to be willing to kind of, I guess, ask for help. And I was quite fortunate, again, having people that I could lean on that gave me advice, but realizing, I think, when that moment comes, when is the right time to get help. So like I've outsourced some sales progression, got an admin assistant now, and that's kind of taken a lot of that pressure off. Because, like I said, it does get, like I said, even though you feel like you're running a million miles an hour, it can come on. But, I mean, some people will probably carry on and do it forever. But, you know, for me personally, it did come on very quickly.
So even superstars are human, hey? When you know, so.
I think probably
Ordinary.
I mean, who in this room, put your hands up, who's kind of experienced that kind of wall, hitting that wall, burning out?
Yeah.
It's got to be a few more than that. Come on, you're liars, a lot of you. Yeah, they are.
Just a quick final question about starting out, and you don't have to answer it if it's personal. But was there a financial constraint, or did you? We've got some money in the bank; it's worth trying. Or were you thinking, hell, this absolutely has to work because we've got no money? Georgina's burning on this one.
So I think the time I joined DXP, I was about £5,000 in overdraft. And I remember my husband coming to visit me in hospital the next day, and I said, I've handed my notice in, I'm going self-employed. And he was like, we got no money. And I said, I won't fail, I have to make this work. And yeah, I was determined that I put a plan in place. I was going to cap in year one, I did it
And
in
you
9
did.
months.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I
And in year 2?
capped in
Yeah,
3
oh, yeah,
months.
yeah.
And I'm on goal to icon this year.
Yeah, yeah, well done, fantastic. Look, what a great set of guys. But I think we'll, I mean, really, what an amazing example. And I think it seems that just going back to the goal thing, I think it was James Clear, was it, Atomic Habits? You've got to read that book. It was saying basically a plan without a goal is just a wish. And so I think without a boss to crack whip over us, I think what you're saying is that actually just have some goals in place and work to them.
And yeah, I just realised I didn't actually answer my own statement, is setting new goals was going to be the thing. And the advice I got was, because I just felt that I'd done everything I wanted to do, a bit like Georgina, I'd capped, I'd done all these things, and I was just like, well, what's next? And I think that's what I realised, and Adam Mackay was, he said to me, you need to set new goals. And it was just like this little light bulb went off and thought, you're right, I need to realign my goals.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's really important.
And that's where associating with good people comes really into its own, doesn't it? Because just one little comment like that can be a light bulb moment. So,
well, that's the important thing about coming to conferences like this. And
Yeah.
one of the best conversations I had was with Mr. Tony Ruby over there. We went to London for a mastermind, and actually it was 2 hours getting drunk in the Hard Rock Cafe afterwards. But he gave me some of the best advice I've had since joining this company.
Yeah.
And, that's what's important about these events, is just
Yeah.
coming and taking that one little thing away and just learning from everybody.
absolutely, yeah, that's good. Any closing comments from anyone? You're no longer starting out anyway, you're on your way.
Well, I think at the end of the day, if you are starting out there, I think, probably the best advice I can give people, a bit like I just said about this, there's a room full of amazing people here and a lot more other people out there. Just lean on everybody. And I know that you've got downlines and all this stuff, but honestly, we've had chats.
Yeah.
There's been times that we've been on the phone literally saying, I don't think I can do this. But that's what you need, because there will be those moments, and that's where you need. And I think that certainly, I've built some amazing relationships. Again, like me and Mr. Adam Mackay are working on real agency, so again, helping agents join an EXP, and again, to give them the extra support if they feel they need it.
And people love help.
Just
If
willing
you
to
ask for help, they love giving help. And there's a lot of help available in the room. Guys, thank you so much. So, that's great. Thank you, Georgina. Lovely. Thanks, Alex. Good stuff. Thanks, Michael. Good. Thanks, Katie. Take care. Thank you. Right, so next up, we've got another, that was just great, wasn't it? I love that. I love it when people decide to do something and they do it and they make a success of it. There are, of course, a lot of people who choose to do something and they don't make a success of it. Just ask any Olympic champion who's won that gold medal, or silver medal actually in Roger's case, sorry about that, Roger, all the other people behind who spent a lifetime trying to win and they didn't come away with a medal. But in this business, it is easier to succeed in many ways because you don't have, and taking my cue from Roger actually, you don't have to worry about the competition. You just do your personal best. Just do your personal best. And at the end of the day, the rest of the competition doesn't really matter, as is being proved by every single person in this room. So next up, another panel session. Might argue it's possibly the most important of the day in some respects, in that it's to do with the lifeblood of your business, which is listings and leads. So obviously without those, we don't even have a business at all. So to help us with this, we're going to invite on stage Jonathan Hall, Amy Brooks, Brad Saxton, and Adam Budd. Good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on board with us. And you too were new once. You could have been on the last panel session, but now you've proven that your techniques are working. And the one thing that I'm passionate about with the agents that I train is there's always got to be a focus on listings, a focus on nurturing those leads and turning them into listings. So what is the golden rule? If there's one thing we had to say that's going to get us those listings, particularly for a new agent, what would you say, Adam?
Yeah, I would say from my point of view, it's, I think when we were talking about this before, I feel like so many agents are so much more talented than they realise. And especially, again, Ben Moore and I have discussed this many times, that if you've taken the leap to actually start this, you've got more self-belief than you realise. So for me, it's always been reminding yourself you've got the self-belief, get out there and educate people. I think estate agents, and I rant on LinkedIn about this quite regularly. I feel like we don't educate people enough. We don't provide our expertise. We're almost too scared because there's so much competition, because the profession historically hasn't got the reputation of doctors, dentists, or all this kind of stuff. So for me, it's just like get out there, educate people, go into a living room and be firm, be yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure that you leave that listing appointment and they're in no doubt who you are and what you know.
Yeah.
Because again, I think too many people go in there, we know overvaluing is a huge issue in the industry. Oh, we'll just kind of nod along with what they're... No, if that's not what you think, tell them that's not what you think. So I think self-belief is where I think there's a huge, not issue, but I think if realize what you know and don't be scared to put it forward. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
okay. And I'm going to come back to that point later. It's a really important aspect about expertise and education. Jonathan, what are your thoughts? What were your first things when you, in terms of the things that you've done that have proven successful from a lead generation perspective?
When I started, I've never ever used social media. So for the first 6 months, I started using social media, and I was surprised by the volume of inquiries I got and valuation requests, which was really helpful. And I was doing my leafleting and canvassing for the first 6 months, which again really got quite a few instructions. And then for the last year and a half, I haven't really done any advertising apart from 2 leaflet drops and unfortunately no social media, because I haven't, not that I haven't wanted to, but I just haven't had the time to do so.
So where has the business come from then that means that you're no longer feeling you need to do that consistent leaflet dropping?
Most of it is recommendations. And I've had recommendations of people who haven't even come on with me yet, people who haven't even, to other people, friends and families, and they haven't sold their property yet, so that's helped.
Okay.
And seeing my board, the face on the board, but that, I'd say the majority, probably 80% of my valuations in the last year and a half have been from recommendations and just seeing success, rather than actually advertising and social media. So, but I would like to do it, but I haven't got the manpower at the moment.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So, Amy, what's been your perspective? What's been your drive to get listings?
Probably social media. Very big on Facebook. Very big on Instagram. I don't do it because I'm not very good at IT, but the girls that work for me do it all. And board awareness. As soon as I set up 4 years ago, I bought the local roundabout in my town. Now I own 3 roundabouts. I have pool cars. It's just, board and face recognition, I think, that really does it. But social media is definitely a big thing for us.
Okay. So I'm interested now in looking at the balance, and I'm sure Brad will have a comment on this. The balance then between these 2 very different perspectives, where Jonathan is confident and reliant on his existing reputation and multiplying that out through recommendations, whereas Amy, almost as if she's starting from scratch over and over, because you no doubt get those recommendations anyway, but you're continuing to put stuff out there on marketing, basically. So where do you sit on this, Brad?
I'm a bit of everything. Social media was the main one for me, to be honest. But I think, to be honest, that's the benefit of EXP, is everyone you speak to does things a little bit differently. But for me, the main ones were just getting my face out there everywhere it could be, getting boards up with your face on them. If you're new to EXP and you've got boards, if you've not got your face on them, I would say get your face on them. Just getting your face as much places as you can, I think, is the main thing, whether that's social media, whether that's going to events, attending things, just get out there, get in front of as many people as you can. Yeah,
that's interesting. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she just didn't want to do video. She said, what if my hair isn't done? What if I'm not looking good? And I wanted to say, look, if you feel you're that butt ugly, what are you doing meeting people in real life? I mean, come on. This is who we are. This is the transparent, this is the real people. People want the real, transparent, authentic you. So I really wouldn't worry about, if you're not getting your face on something, I think you're really missing a trick, because that's almost the point of your style of agency. And you were previously at Purple Bricks. And so how did that prepare you for this type of
It didn't at all, to be honest. Well, it did. I was doing a bit of everything and anything at Purple Bricks. But it was a complete difference a bit of a culture shock for me when I went from Purple Bricks. I had 40 to 50 valuations booked in my diary, attending as much as you could, instructing as much as you could, and then I went from that to when I first signed up with EXP to just nothing. And then that's when the realisation hit that I had to find these valuations. That was the fun of it, to be honest. That's why I tried a bit of everything. But two completely different businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, very, okay, I get it. It's the concept, when you're pitching for business, to what extent do you highlight the difference of being an EXP agent as opposed to a regular agent? Is it just down to you, and what would you say, Adam? Is it down to you, or do you use it as an advantage, or is it even do you bury it? I don't know.
No, don't bury it. I think my pitch certainly is that, and again, authenticity was mentioned. That to me is what every single person in the room has, no matter whether they know it or not, because we're all different.
Yeah.
And so I think you get a lot of people asking advice on how you do this and how you do that. And no, like do it how you feel is going to represent you in the manner you want to be perceived in.
Yeah.
And again, I think that sort of ties into the self-belief thing I mentioned before. So I think that authenticity point is huge. For me, I just wanted to make my whole thing about saying that no one else in my city can say that they do what I do, and that's professional. So this is just me personally, but professional marketing for every listing, video, floor plan, obviously on the 3 main platforms, social media, and also part of a network that covers the breadth of the country.
But some of your competitors would say they did those things.
Apart from the EXP network, right?
Okay, apart from
and
how does that benefit me if I'm selling?
Well, again, I think you have to put it into action. We've all been referred. Well, hopefully, we've all sort of had a couple of referrals over that we may or may not have sold. I think you work in conjunction that way.
Yeah.
Most people will just say follow us on social media, for example. But if I know that Jane's in Bath near me, or Scott's in Chippenham, for example, and I know that look, I'll try and help you, but go follow him, go engage with him, and he'll help you out. So
okay. So there's a good using the network outward as well as just inward.
Blending in, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Amy, how have you found the relationship between EXP as a brand and yourself on a listing? How do you sort of promote the fact that it's EXP, and does it make a difference?
It doesn't make a difference, to be honest.
No,
Quite a few people, well, not very many, do say, what's EXP about and why do you power with EXP? But I generally find that people instruct me because it's me, as opposed to the EXP brand, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So effectively, what you're offering is personal commitment and accountability that you were never really able to give before because it was always hidden under a brand. And you could go away for the weekend and nobody would notice. But now it counts. Yeah.
Well, I was Purple Bricks before as well. So I've gone Purple Bricks High Street and then EXP. So it's completely different how you run your business with EXP than it is on the High Street, and definitely Purple Bricks.
What I do think is quite cool, by the way, is literally this morning, I had someone who's selling their second property, and they had seen, driven down from, again, I wish I knew who was there, but driven down from sort of North Wales. And he said, I've seen about 4 or 5 different boards with their faces in it. He's like, and I've just made the twig that you're all the EXP. Yeah. So again, like I think subtly as it all grows and we get more and more
gaining
agents,
national traction.
I think you'll just find that people go, oh yeah, I dealt with so-and-so there, and I saw him there, and it just...
We're probably still not at the stage where people say, oh, I must go to an EXP agent, but they'll say, I'll go to Adam. Oh, look, and there's now the actual comfort factor that EXP is becoming a well-known brand among the public. Just coming back to the Purple Bricks thing, obviously known for their low fees, which really gets my blood boiling, as you know. Anyone who's done any training with me, you know what I think about fees. But how did the transition go from offering basically a very, very low fee at Purple Bricks to now presumably charging a half-decent fee that's going to make you a reasonable amount of money?
It took me a while, to be honest. Getting out of that mindset of just instructing anything, is it going to sell? Who cares? Just get it on anyway. That then transitioning to where it's a personal service, it's your business. Everything you do is going to come back to reflect you. Your fees, for me, anyone that offered me a valuation told me another agent said they would do it for £5. I was like, I'll do it for £4. That was at the start, whereas now, as the business has grown, I found it easier and easier to up my fees, and eventually just getting further away from that fixed fee model.
And I bet you've surprised yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Can you get we were talking at the back, and he got a text from and he's told this guy, like, was it? Yeah, you tell the story.
Yeah, so I was asked to go out to a property that's already on the market with another agent, and he'd wanting to change. Obviously, seen that I'd just sold one in the street, wasn't happy with his current agent, so he wanted to change. He was on for a value. He was on for offers over 165. I said, you need to be at 160 to sell. But if you're changing to me, don't let your current agent do it, because you've given them the chance. Come to me, we'll do it. We'll do videos, we'll do everything, and we'll get it sold. And then he's just phoned me 3 times, text me, saying, right, ready to go. I want 165. See you soon. So I'm just going to respond saying it's thanks, but no thanks.
There's actually something at the moment, just as an aside, it's the advice to give people if they're thinking of reducing the price, as many are at the moment, good advice is to switch agents to you at that time so you don't go stale on the portals. Don't reduce without switching agents to you first. Cool, okay. And in terms of your conversion ratios, how are you finding I don't know, previously a lot of agents would have had a sort of a pack, a swanky branded, whatever their Connell's pack was or something. How are you actually pitching? Because we've highlighted the importance of the individual. When you're pitching, are you really majoring on that, or are you still dipping into the depths of what some people might regard as a presentation?
I regularly take my laptop into every appointment, and it never leaves the bag. I think, again, because what we're saying, we're getting so many recommendations, you've got to do something pretty major sometimes to screw it up, because you've been recommended by somebody. So a lot of the time it's, you go in and you sort of know the value because you've done a bit of prep, and as long as nothing surprises you, you have the conversation. And I think that's where... And I still kind of find it quite funny how you go in after a Fox and Sons or a Sequence or a Connells, and they got the pricing triangle out, and all of the nonsense stuff about offices. And I had a funny one last week, and he said, there's a Winchester office they've got. And I was like, what do you think will happen if I phone the Winchester office and asked about a property in Salisbury? I said, can I do it? Yeah. And he said, okay. So I phoned up the Winchester office and said, can I speak to so-and-so about a property in Salisbury? And they said, do you want the Salisbury number? Yeah. And I was like, obviously that was always going to happen.
Yeah, that was a risk, high-risk strategy. Well,
so I think it's the poor quality of competition is actually making it easier. And I think, as long as you know your stuff and you've done your research, I think we're all being called out in this room because of a lot of who we are, not just...
Absolutely. And that's the theme that runs through the whole thing, isn't it? And what sort of percentage of pitches are you converting? I know, Brad, yours was impressive.
I would say 70 to 80, probably.
Is that common among us? I mean, really? Yeah, I think that is... I want to know what you're having for breakfast, because that really is really, really good. But what would you say is the crux of why you're so successful in that?
Probably because the agents in my area are so bad. But honestly, there is, where I am in Fife in Scotland, a lot of the agents are very set in their ways. So when I sort of came in, we are offering something completely different. So it is an easier sell, and everyone that gets me out has invited me personally, and that's another benefit of EXP. If you get invited out somewhere, they've probably asked for you directly, so it's an easier sell. Yeah.
Jonathan, what's your key to a successful pitch?
Going back a bit is what I think is really important. For me, most of my instruction has been due to recommendations. So when I send out before going out to the property, I send out an email with the link to all my
all the
Google reviews and Facebook reviews and all those. And I think that is really powerful, because I often go out to people and say, did you read any of my reviews? And I'm surprised how many people read that. So I've got about 120 reviews in the last probably 14, 15, 16 months. Wow. But not all of them are from the same person, because what I get them to do is to put the review on Google, Yale, Facebook, and all agents. And then via Verify Trusted, it then puts them onto our website.
Right.
Which then multiplies the viewings, not intentionally, but that's the way it works. So it looks like you've got more reviews.
Yeah.
Not dishonestly, but that's what
Yeah,
it does.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that really is quite powerful.
So you're hooking into the power of social proof, so you don't have to work too hard with respect on that instruction, because frankly, if 120 people are giving you a 5-star review, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and I think often when I go to a property, because I've given that and they've been a recommendation, often I'm going to a property and they've instructed me before I've even been out there.
Yeah.
And I've never had that before. I'd say probably about maybe 10% of properties I go out to, they've really said they're coming on with me.
Yeah.
And the other thing which I find helpful, when you have someone who's on the market, who's been on the market for ages, the reason why it's often not selling is due to multiple reasons, but often it's the price. And I don't want to go out there before they've given notice to the agent, because if I go out there and tell them the price is too high, the chances are they're going to reduce the price. So what I always tell people is, look, best thing to do, I look at their marketing and try and show why it's not selling. Often hasn't got sunny photos. I'm fussy, I'm a perfectionist, I want sun on the front, I want sun on the back. A lot of agents aren't bothered. They're happy with a grey, cloudy shot, they'll have rain on and water on the ground and put blue sky in. I hate that person. It doesn't give that
And do you fix those rainy days with AI?
Absolutely not.
No?
I go and
Okay.
take new shots.
Because Savills always got a nice blue sky.
No, I go and take them myself. So I've got a professional photographer who does all my photography. However, if it's not sunny when they go out there, I'll go out there myself in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night, depending which way it's facing, just to get that right shot. And I'll tell people that as well.
Attention to detail, yeah.
Attention to detail. Look at the listing. Make sure those USPs are in that first paragraph. If they're not, I say, well, look, it's 27 minutes to London Bridge. They haven't put that on the details.
Yeah.
And try and show where their current agent is failing, ask them how many viewings they're getting. If they've had 30 viewings and no offers, I said, well, that would imply that the agent's not asking the right questions. And just trying to see any faults with the agent's marketing. Maybe they're not listing on Rightmove or not listing on Zoopla and prime location. So there's other things. And then giving that element of doubt about why their property's not selling. And by doing that, and then I'll say, look, I'm happy to come out there, but to be honest, if you've got, how much notice have you got? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? If it's a 4-week contract, I said, there's no point in me coming out at the moment, because once you've given notice to your agent, quite often agents will pull their finger out and get it sold. So instead of wasting my time and your time, my recommendation would be to serve notice on your agent, and then maybe a week before it's due to finish, I'll come out then. Because if I come out, say, straight at the beginning, tell them the price is too high, the chances are they're going to bring the price down with the agent, and then them end up selling it, which is so frustrating. I've done the agent
It is. We've all experienced that.
Yes.
And I think what I'm hearing here is someone who speaks with authority. It doesn't take any nonsense. The expert in what he does, not worried, almost not a laissez-faire attitude, but you're only going to be worried if you get it, if it's worth getting. You're only going to take on profitable, saleable stock. And you're conducting yourself with that authority, that gravitas, so people listen to what you say.
Yep.
And I'm guessing your conversion ratio is pretty much as high as Brad's.
I would say probably 90% of people want to come on the market with me, but I do turn them down. Often it's my fee. My average fee is about probably 1.3, 1.4. I usually do 1.5 at the bottom end, 1% over $1 million. But often most people, probably even 95% of people want to come on with me, but I won't reduce my fee if I don't feel it's worth it, and if I've got too much work, I'll just hold out for my fee.
Good man.
But I think the other thing is being honest with people. I think most estate agents, from my experience, I'd say probably about 80% of agents are dishonest or will overvalue a property to get the instruction. And you see that all the time, and I tell people that when I go out there. So look, unfortunately, from my experience, about 80% of agents will overvalue. About 10% what I normally say is about 80% of agents, from my experience, are average. 10% are cowboys, and 10% are experts. There's not many expert agents out there.
No.
And unfortunately, most agents...
And that does bring us back to this point of expertise, which I just want to flesh out a little bit in a moment. But Amy, in terms of the key to you in terms of your lead conversion ratio when you're pitching for business, what's the key for you there that does it?
In terms of percentage, you mean?
Well, I mean, if you're not going to look good, and no one's going to look good next to Brad, but how is it?
Probably like what these guys have said, obviously, because people have got you out on recommendations, or they've heard about you, know about you. Probably 80-90% of them do come on the market.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so what we're saying is there's a lot of people are predisposed to each of you before you've even walked through the door. And that's surely a key to it, because it's a lot easier to convert it then.
I think people want to be told what to do. Like, I think that's where estate agents get it so wrong. You know, like Jonathan's right, there's a lot doing it poorly. Like, people want to be, like when you go to the doctor, you don't diagnose yourself, do you? You know, you've got a professional who goes, you've broken your leg, you're in a cast for 6 months, this is how you're going to get better. Yeah. So why do we not go in and do the same? Yeah. And I think ultimately it's a snowball effect, because if you've got that authority and you've got that authenticity to you, you then come across as more, I don't know, professional, trustworthy, your fees go up.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a snowball effect for me.
Again, it brings us back to that education and proving that you're the expert, actually making a point of demonstrating your expertise by giving them the advice they need to hear, perhaps, that they never thought to ask. I mean, I've been with people, agents, and they've said, oh, do you have any questions? And the person said, no, of course they don't have any questions. They don't know what to ask. But where you're the experts, we should be bringing to those conversations maybe the questions that they should be asking. Is that effective?
I think we're fully in a profession where clients don't always know best.
No, they don't.
Like,
we know best.
I think they're always going to want 15, 20k more than what we tell them. Like, it's just human nature, right? Yeah. Somebody who I worked with many years ago, he said, for a lot of people, your house is the only way you can make big money quickly, right? So if a Connells go in and say it's worth 50k more than you do, well, a lot of people are going to go, oh, okay, well, that's an extra 50 grand.
Are you tempted to fall into that trap? Because with the model that we work, each listing is worth so much more to you personally than it ever was when you worked for a high street brand, let's say. So is there a temptation to drop your pants on fees and to give the higher valuation just because you want it, particularly when you're starting out?
Again, I think there's different context. Again, Ben Moore, who sponsors me, I think he mentions that he drove about an hour for like a 2.5 grand fee for his first listing. Yeah. You know, and so for me, like, there's different context to that. But I think once you're in a position where you're getting called out on referrals, you know, what's the point? You know, because if you're taking on a listing that's never going to sell, I've actually used that as a reason sometimes as to why you can trust us or me or us, because I don't earn anything from this unless it sells. Yeah. So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this. If I don't sell your house and give you the correct advice, I'm never going to earn any money from it. What's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Brad, I don't know what it's like in Fife at the moment, but I was working with some agents in Yorkshire for the last couple of days, and their stock levels are absolutely rocketed, and some of their areas there's just nothing happening at all. Has your pitch style changed, or is it changing in view of a changing market?
Slightly. Depends on the property, exactly where it is. And I mean, our market is always sort of steady enough because we've got home reports. So the values are never, you rarely get, well, I say that, you rarely get agents overvaluing stuff, but that would be a complete lie. But within reason, because you can't have one agent going in and putting a crazy value on it. I say that again, it's probably a lie. Yeah. But the discrepancy isn't that different. So depending on it tends to be higher value properties. It's probably the same in most areas, but higher value, which is in my area locally, is Kirkcaldy. So anything over 300,000 you would consider a higher value property. Yeah. They take a bit longer to sell. Yeah. They can take a bit longer to sell.
Because you had the problem, so I'll just explain to people that in Scotland, of course, they have a home valuation that's on there, and it's whether you pitch above it or below it, but you're always slightly constrained by that, whereas we have a bit more freedom to say, no, kind of we know best as to what it's worth. So do you have to fight against that sometimes?
Yeah, it's all the time. So you get a home report done before you go on the market. Get that done, you get a valuation, and depending on the owner, it depends what they're looking for. I could go into 2 houses on the same day, and one of their expectations is 10 to 20% over that value, and one of them is saying, we're lucky if we get that. Those houses could be in the same street. It could be the same style of house at the same value, but it tends to be, you just need to work with people's expectations.
Yeah. So I meant to say, turn on the AI translation for Bradson. Amy, are you forthright when it comes to telling people what they want to hear or what you believe you should be telling them on price?
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100% agree. I sometimes turn down listings if they want to go on the market too high. Sometimes, obviously, I charge 1.25%. I was always 1%, and then I spoke to Tony Ruby and Ali Harper one night, put my fees up to 1.25 after a conversation with them, and I stick to it. I don't reduce my fees. If they don't want to pay 1.25, they use somebody else. And probably 8 times out of 10, they come back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for saleable instructions and profitable instructions. That sounds like a really good business, but ultimately.
And also the ones who get referred to you and then you end up taking on at the right value and they respect your advice, they're great to work with.
Yeah.
This guy that Brad's talking about that we were talking about beforehand, it's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
If that's what. So like again, I think if you're starting out, maybe you have to suck that up, and we've probably all got stories of nightmare clients you had to push through. But I think especially once you get established, which a lot of people are, I think you don't need to deal with people who are going to sap all your energy, negotiate your fee down, and cause you a lot of pain.
So that comes back to that authority. If you can just calmly conduct yourself with authority, they've been recommended, they respect the fact that it's your commitment level and your accountability, they're probably going to take your advice as well. So yeah. Guys, thank you so much. Brilliant, hey? Fabulous. Great. Okay, so next up, very relevant topic we're going to be looking at, and that's the concept of teams. It didn't even exist in the UK, this concept of EXP teams 18 months ago, but we have been pioneering the model in the UK, so it's no surprise to see that it's actually taking off. And not just with solo agents becoming a team either, but actually whole existing estate agency businesses bringing their entire business into the EXP family and building a team within that framework with obviously EXP's help and support. So I think from my point of view, this is one of the most exciting developments that we have in UK agency. We'll be bringing on entire existing estate agency brands powered by EXP. And I think it'll help us very much bring the UK in line with how the rest of the world works, and we're at the pinnacle of that. So there's a long way to go, but at the rate it's going, I think it's likely to happen quite quickly, particularly with AI behind us as well. So to cover off on looking at teams, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our next session, our host for the next session. You've heard his name before. He's going to be introducing Ashley Wood, Craig Stevens, and Matt Billion. It is Scott Gunn.